TDC Financial Services, all your holiday woes will disappear. You can get up to $35,000 unsecured for your holiday needs. Give us a call at 465-6516 or 469-5430 to find out how we can help to make your holidays happier for you and your family. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Good morning, St Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to yet another edition of Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. I am your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and we have in our studio members of the St Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, SCNIPA. And today we will be discussing how do current protocols ensure a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy. How do current protocols ensure a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy? Let me just say welcome to all of you who have joined us via social media, via our Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and other social media platforms, as well as our website. And of course, later on in the program, we will be excited. I am sure that the Jalen, Jelani, and Mariel, I'm sure that they're excited to hear from our callers with their questions, their comments, their concerns, and, basically being a part of the discussion. We're going to hear from our sponsors shortly, and when we return, I will give each representative an opportunity to say a little bit about themselves, and we'll head right into the discussion for this morning. Again, thank you so much for tuning in to WINN FM 98.9 for another edition of Inside the News.
Honey, I have so much to do. And now I need to go to TDC Home and Building Depot to buy the new fridge.
Samantha, stop worrying. You can purchase the fridge and whatever else you may need with TDC Home and Building Depot's curbside and delivery service.
Really?
Just send your request via WhatsApp or email, pay online, and get your purchase by pickup or delivery.
Wow! I'm going to try TDC curbside and delivery service now.
Terms and conditions apply. Check our social media pages for all the details.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Inside the News. Again, I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we have members of Sniper joining us for today. And again, the topic is how do current protocols ensure a safe and sustainable post-COVID-19 economy? I'll allow Mariel Knight, a member of Sniper, to give a short introduction about himself, and then we'll have Jalen and we'll have Jelani. Mariel?
Good morning to all the listeners of Inside the News, both locally and around the region and even around the world. I want to thank you for tuning in to this morning's edition. As Devon would have mentioned, my name is Mariel Knight, and I'm currently serving as the Vice President of the St Kitts National Youth Parliament Association. And it is truly an honor and a pleasure to be here this morning to give our views as young people on this pertinent topic. As we know, COVID-19 has certainly dominated our lives since about last year, and this topic is very relevant as we prepare to look forward to the future and we think of the protocols that are in place at this present moment and how they will affect our lives going forward. So I hope you encourage your friends, encourage your families to tune in as we stick with you for about 2 hours.
Great. Jalen?
Good morning, St Kitts and Nevis. I am Jalen Munzak, and I am the Assistant Treasurer of the St Kitts National Youth Parliament. And I am happy to be here with my fellow colleagues as we discuss the COVID protocols and how it can benefit all of us. Thank you very much.
Great. And Jelani?
Good morning, St. Kitts. My name is Jelani Bell, and I am a general member of the St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, And I would like to echo the sentiments of my colleagues here as we seek to share our views on the COVID-19 situation.
Awesome. Again, let me just say welcome to all who have tuned in. And this promises to be quite an interesting and exciting edition of Inside the News. And Sniper, I believe, has much to say and much to add to this discussion today. So stay tuned, turn up your volume, and listen, whether you're listening via radio, Facebook, YouTube, the other social media platforms, and pay keen attention. For those of you who are just tuning in, we will be taking calls later on in the program, maybe around 11:45. And let me just take the numbers now so that you can write them down. The numbers to call are 4650989, 7620989, and 6620989. Also, we have WhatsApp. You can send us a WhatsApp via 662-2204, 662-2204. your questions, your concerns, your comments, and you could be a part of the discussion. Again, the numbers are 465-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989, and WhatsApp is 662-2204. So we are going to head right into the discussion. And again, the topic is, how do current protocols ensure a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy? And if I may begin, firstly, I would want to know what a post-COVID economy is. That, I think, that is the first part that one would try to, or one would want to understand. Because we're talking about an economy after COVID. But it begs the question, do we know when COVID is going to leave us? Do we know if it's going to leave us anytime soon? Following the media internationally and regionally, and of course experts and scientists, they have said that it is likely or highly likely that we will enter 2022 with COVID. Now, it all depends on the efficacy of these vaccines. It all depends on how many persons are vaccinated and how many persons get access to these vaccines. Because even though some countries have already secured a package for themselves, you still have those third world countries and those countries that may not be able to afford or may not be able to, or simply not in a position to have access to the vaccine. And so we cannot in any way forget them. They are still a part of the population. And so when we're talking about a post-COVID economy, we first have to establish, what do we really mean by a post-COVID economy or a post-COVID environment where everything is basically back to a state of normalcy, where we're back at work, everybody's back at work, the tourism sector is booming in the Caribbean, and things are just regular. There are no more face masks like we're here now wearing. There's no more social distancing and all these COVID protocols. That is what we first have to establish. Mario, what is your take on a post-COVID economy?
Well, thanks, Devon, for that question. I would say that firstly, we have to compare what was life back then, and COVID has, I know there's a clip, so COVID taught us a lesson. COVID has indeed taught us that lesson and has made us examine how we used to do stuff, the way we conducted work, the way we did business transactions. And I think having examined how we used to do that, a post-COVID economy would be trying to look at those and see how we could tweak them so that in the event that another pandemic comes around, that we have learned from our mistakes and we're not caught again with our pants down, and that we're ready to roll and know how to transition into a digital world, essentially. And I think that COVID will send most of the transactions that we know online, like maybe more online banking. That's definitely something we may look forward to in a post-COVID economy. And I think what we would see too is a lot of businesses doing transactions over the internet and most workers working remotely from home. I think that's things that we could look forward to in a post-COVID economy.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Julian, what is your take on that?
Okay, thank you for asking me. I think that as an economy, we will definitely have to become more resilient in terms of how we deal with diseases. I don't think that even after this COVID-19 is finished, we will still have more diseases that are coming along. And, we'll have to find ways to build resilience through vaccines and through a resilient economy. I don't think that we will look back from what we did, especially with the tourism sector, and try our best to improve upon this industry. Also, in regards to traveling, I believe that traveling will be extremely hard and that regional integration would be threatened as the days come along, as we have to possibly go with a COVID passport, among other things. Thank you.
Great. And what about you, Janani?
Alright, so I do believe that post-COVID economy is actually going to actually trigger, as Mario said, a paperless trade world in which most businesses are going to actually adopt the protocols in which they can actually do transactions without actually having to interact with each other. And we have been borderlining that idea for a while, and COVID just happened to give us a jump start. So that's mostly where we'll be heading.
Great. And if I may, I agree with you all. I think basically it would be digital transformation, and where more or most businesses and people as a whole will be doing things via the internet. I mean, we've always been doing things via the internet. We've been doing businesses and everyday life, but you will see more of it. And again, as Mario said, people will be learning from their mistakes. I mean, before COVID, everything, in my opinion, was normal. But was it really normal? Because Jalen said, we have other diseases. And right now, COVID is the much talked about thing, or the only talked about thing. But we have many other diseases that are plaguing the world. And people are dying every day, every single day, from these diseases. And so what COVID has done is basically put all of those other things on the back burner, and has basically told the world and said to us, well, those things are not important right now. I'm here and I want to show myself. And it has rightfully done so. I mean, COVID has really disrupted our lives and has really changed things, some for the better and some for the worst, because there are some people who saw it as an opportunity to grow and personal growth and personal development, and there are some people who just they caught hell, and things were just all over the place for them. But I think a post-COVID economy, in my opinion, the short answer to that is basically the economy before COVID, but making it safe and sustainable. Because if COVID is now here and there's a huge economic fallout and people are now on unemployment benefits and all of these other social safety net, was the economy sustainable or was the economy safe? What is your opinion on that, Mario? It's just a question.
I think the economy is, as I would have said a meeting ago also at Scanaipa, that the economy right now is in some bubble wrap, being protected. Some governments have it in more bubble wrap than the others, and they're trying to keep it from falling essentially. But I think that COVID tried its best to tear apart the economy, and for some countries it has seriously ravaged them, and for others it has not. And so, yeah.
What about you, Julian? Your take?
I think that we just came out of a recession from the global financial crisis, and we were managing. We weren't above our heads, but we were just on the baseline. And was it sustainable? I would not say perhaps, because we went from the sugar industry to tourism. So we focused on one industry, and an industry that is susceptible to external shocks. So I cannot say that it was sustainable.
And your take on it, Janani?
Well, as you mentioned, COVID-19 caused a lot of people to become unemployed and actually boost the number of unemployment we have in different countries. Yes, we used to have these unemployment rates before, which was mitigated by the social acts, welfare, and etc. But however, COVID had actually put a strain on the social welfare and the other welfare of our countries, and it's going to be a hard comeback.
If I may add, I think one of the ways to achieve, and some may see it as small, and one of the ways to achieve a safe and sustainable economy, post-COVID, of course, is we first have to address the issue of the high cost of living. And the cost of living is ridiculously high. And I don't apologize for saying that. The cost of living is ridiculously high. And there's some people who would understand, and the others who simply won't. Because for some people, and you can't vex with them, they're comfortable and they're good. I saw a question that someone posed on Facebook yesterday. Things hard or things are not hard? I'm confused. And one of the comment was, it depends on who you ask. It depends on who you ask, if things are hard or if things are good. But looking at the entire cost of living, the high cost of living, I remember the Prime Minister said sometime last year that it's an estimated $1.5 billion EC leaves the country annually to purchase goods and
Foreign exchange.
all of that stuff. $1.5 billion every year. So every year we have to come up with $1.5 billion to send to somebody else to get things here. And it begs the question, why can't we keep that 1.5 billion here, or half of it, or some of it? Why can't we keep most of it here? However, God, if we can keep all, but let's be realistic. And so the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, they initiated a buy local campaign. You support local businesses, and you buy local, you support your brother and your sister, you support your neighbor, and you do things locally. But it is, in my opinion, easier said than done, because buying local is not just buying local. First, you have to create an environment that is safe for small businesses to grow. So you're saying to buy local, but even though people are buying local, they're probably not buying enough. And we have seen over the years, from, let me say, 2005 until now, so many small businesses have just dwindled to ashes and they're gone. Yes, there are some people who are buying local, but even though they receive the support from the locals, it wasn't safe for them to grow because the taxes were too high for them. And so even though they were selling this, they were selling that, they were making money here and there, most of the money was going back into the government and other sectors, of course, and they had no opportunity to grow like the bigger companies. Can I get a comment from someone on that?
Well, for buying local, I think that's something too that we would need in a post-COVID economy. And at the moment, I see where you're coming from with the statement that the environment isn't really here to support local. And what I would like to see, as you jumped off on that limb, is promotion more of local produce. I think that would help to cut down some of that 1.5 billion, because I would imagine a huge sum of that would be importing food. Definitely. And when we look at the things that we import into the country, a lot of it could be produced here, could be even produced and exported. We think of places like Trinidad who have sunshine snacks and all the different manufactured snacks. All of those we're bringing here. We could open a plant here as well. And so I think when we think of buy local, a lot of people, like, their minds go only to agriculture, only to craft. But I think we should expand that manufactured products. A lot of the things that we buy overseas, we should look into how much of that could we do here on the ground and cut down on our import bill.
But if I may add, as you said, to plant our own food, grow our own food. If you look at farmers now, most of them are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. Most of them are getting old. And then we don't want to do any farming.
What's the handoff? The handoff.
So we're saying to grow our own food, but who's going to grow it if we don't want to do it?
True, yes.
That's it right there. And saying to, grow local, buy local. What is the support system, or is there a support system for our farmers? That's the question. So as I said before, it is easier said than done to say, buy local, grow your food here. But nobody want to grow no food. Everybody want to be in the office.
Right.
Nobody want to really do the hard work. And I find that, we often say this, but unless you're in that position, you will never know how it feels to be in that position because you're not there. And so even though I support buy local and support local businesses, there is another, let me say, I don't want to say issue, but there's something else I want to bring up. One would say buy local and support local, but there are some businesses here that are so unprofessional. I'm sorry, but I have to add that. And so it is difficult for you to support a local business that you receive such horrible customer service. And so that is why you often see people go elsewhere to buy stuff. For the life of me, I can't understand why people just order clothes. I don't do it because for me it doesn't make any sense. I prefer to go in the store and try on the clothes there and buy it, right there. But there are people here who have never been to these stores around here, to buy clothes and shoes and all this stuff. They go on Amazon and they buy the stuff, and when they come here, they cost customs so that they get charged too much. But if you buy it here, you probably pay less. And then you have the small businesses who may be selling some clothes, selling shoes, whatever, and deep down in their heart, they want to work with you. But because there is no support system for them, they have to sell you the product maybe 3 times. So that is the harsh reality. Anybody, you can comment on that?
Well, in terms of that, firstly, the buying local, I think the major problem we have with buying local is consistency. A lot of our farmers do provide produce and whatnot, but it's the consistency in which we can get that produce. And that is what caused us to actually seek other help outside. In terms of passing on the baton now, we are moving on to a more technological age. So I'm seeing a little bit of machineries and stuff into the agriculture sector to actually help those that don't probably want to get their physical hands dirty to actually maneuver the sector so that we can actually go local and create that yield. In relation to clothing now, because it's funny you mentioned that because I am one who actually buy clothes online because...
So I hope you're not offended.
No. It's not offended. It's not like, it's like, the problem for me is the high markup. It's like you go in town to get a shirt, a simple shirt, and the markup for the shirt is ridiculous.
That's
like,
right.
it's ridiculous. Like, even after clearing it, going through custom, going through the bad customer service and all that kind of stuff, you still don't pay as much as you actually have to pay for the shirt.
I agree with you.
The markup is actually what gear people, a lot of people, towards buying online. I have siblings that say, "You really buy that here? You could have gone on Amazon and buy it." Like, people do say that a lot because the markup is ridiculous. And I understand that most of these entrepreneurs want to make some kind of money because they don't have the backing to actually support them. But come on, you can sell us one shirt 3 times?
But as I said, there's some people, they want to sell you it half, but they have to sell you it 5 times because
I would sell for twice.
They have their staff to pay, they have the taxes to pay. The taxes are literally through the roof, this roof right here. So things are, it's not as easy as we think for the small businesses. And first you have to create an environment for them to grow and foster before we can even think about having a safe and sustainable economy. It has to be safe for them. Because even though we have the bigger businesses, we have to appreciate the small man because they too make a significant contribution.
Yeah.
They too have done their part in not even just St Kitts and Nevis but across the region in keeping things in let me just say normal. You know, when COVID started, normal was a very much used word. Not everything is not normal and all kind of stuff. But, you know, thinking about it, there's so many subtopics to touch before you try to establish what a safe and sustainable economy is, or post-COVID economy is. Mariel, you have any comments on that? I see you over there thinking.
No, I'm thinking and following along with you right now.
Yes. We've been chatting for a long time. I think you guys may want to drink some water. So we're going to take a short break to hear from the sponsors. And when we return, we are going to not wrap up, but we'll continue. Let's hear from our sponsors.
Gift for Dad's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party. Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding. Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free US mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience, free consolidation up to £10, competitive rates, free package tracking account with live notifications, free delivery, and of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are here with members of Skyniper. We have Mariel Knight, he is the Vice President. We have Jalen Mundak, who is the Assistant Treasurer, and we have Jelani Bell, who is a General Member. Again, the topic for those of you who are just tuning in is how do current protocols ensure a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy? Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we're going to continue our discussion until we wrap up at 12 noon for the headline news, and we will return at 12:30 to have our discussion continued. So we are looking at the protocols. We spoke extensively about, COVID and safe economy and all these things. Looking at the current protocols, if we look at the statutory rules and orders, you would see there is restriction on freedom of movement. Now, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but the restriction on freedom of movement, you would only see the full force of that if in the event we have a community spread.
Yes.
Your take on that?
Well, no one likes to have their rights taken away. And I would say that during the lockdown last year, those are some boring hours, to be very honest. And I would imagine that no one wants to really go back to that, maybe except escaping work and school. But eventually they would want to go back out. And the restriction on movement, I would say, although it's restricting our rights, whereas that is something that's definitely needed, because in the event that we find out we have community spread, I think that it will be very dangerous to just be moving around, going to parties, going about our daily lives when we know that the person sitting next to you on the bus could be carrying the virus. And so I think that that provision within the law is very much needed, so that in the event that COVID gets out of control, that we could begin to subdue the virus and keep it locked within those persons who already have it and keep it from spreading to others.
What is your take on it, Jalen?
Well, I hope that we do not have any community spread, because last year was a disaster. I absolutely hated the lockdowns, the curfews. Even though I'm not a person that goes out.
I died.
Even though I'm not a person that usually goes out, and I'm a homebody. However, but like staying home for extended amount of time, and just looking also at the bypass road, and you just see nothing. Is like, I wonder if I could be outside. I want to be outside. It's very taxing on the mind, and I just really don't want us to go back to that. It's very restrictive. Restrictive on the person, on a business. To be honest, the only businesses that were benefiting from these restrictions were supermarkets.
All the panic buying.
All the panic buying. Nobody else was benefiting, and I hope that we do not have any community spread, because and next round it's going to kill us.
What about you?
Well, I also hope that we don't have any community spread, but however, the lockdown to me wasn't really much of an issue, because I enjoy my own peace and quiet now and again. However, extended peace and quiet make you borderline the insanity. Like, I really need to go outside. But then when you get up to go outside, you're like, crap, you can't go because there's a lockdown in place. And you really watching this, like, okay, when the police comes across, when the police pass across, no. I've seen people in my neighborhood literally like peeping through the window, and like, you could tell these people like, okay, these people are ready to go outside. And if we are to go back to a lockdown, it's gonna be a lot of people breaking curfew. It's gonna be much more than we had. It's gonna be a lot of people, because we already adapting to the new protocols where we actually allowed to actually go out. And to go back on full-blown lockdown is going to be hard for a lot of people. And then domestic violence, that might be on the rise, because of some people not accustomed to be home all the time with the spouse, and the spouse says something that triggers you, and the whole domino effect.
And if I may add, the topic is, okay, how do the protocols ensure a safe and sustainable economy? Now, firstly, we have to look at the health concerns. When the government initiated the SROs and began to lock down and began to put in place different measures to safeguard the country from COVID, a few persons were outraged. A few persons were like, you can't restrict us from movement, you can't lock us down, we need to be allowed to move. Now, there were other countries here in the region and internationally that at first they were performing exceptionally well when COVID came. Everything was normal, everything was good. You had 1 or 2 cases here and there, and that was it. Then the fear of COVID, it dwindled, it went. And so different countries began to ease up and open up. And then we all saw what happened. The virus got in and showed its ugly face, and things got rough. So how do you get to a safe economy with half the population dead and half the population sick? Who is going to be there to ensure that the economy remains sustainable?
You see, that's another important role of the protocols in the current situation, because what they're doing, they're safeguarding the health of our citizens, keeping those potentially the virus out. And we think of even countries like St. Vincent that didn't close their borders throughout the pandemic, and we see the situation they're in right now. And I think the last count was 600, sorry.
I think 5 something.
You could back check.
I'll back check. 643 active cases right now, and
in St. Vincent
and the Grenadines, and that's something we really don't want to see happening. And I think that the restrictions, as they are right now, they're ensuring that we don't get sick, and that the human resource, which is the most important resource of the country, that resource is protected for that post-COVID economy. Because it doesn't make sense we open now, make the money, spend it, save it, whatever we do with it. And as you said, that half the population dies, half the population is sick.
Yeah, and so again, there's nobody there to ensure that the economy is safe and sustainable. So I think health concerns are basically what drive the government to implement these SROs and to implement these protocols. Because St. Kitts and Nevis is a small place compared to those countries out there. And we cannot afford to have community spread. We cannot afford to be in this situation that other countries are in. I'm not saying that it is going to happen, and I'm still not saying that it is impossible. That is why I like to say, please, wear your mask and follow the protocols. But when we're saying to follow the protocols, we're not even just preaching to the people who walk about the streets of Charlestown and Bastia. We're talking to the people at the entry points. Mm-hmm. Because if they don't enforce the protocols there, then you defeat the whole purpose. The virus gets in and again shows its ugly face and begin to show up yourself and do all kind of, gymnastics and all this stuff. But again, health concerns, in my opinion, is what really drive, for us to have these protocols in place. And you made mention about, when we had the lockdowns, you had a lot of domestic violence. And it's not even just you saying it. I remember listening to the NEOC briefings, and I think it was Superintendent Henry who said that there was an increase in domestic violence. So there's the health concern, which is good that the protocols are keeping us safe from the virus. But the protocols that were implemented to say restriction on freedom of movement and stay where you be, basically, it increased domestic violence. And men began to beat their women, and women began to beat their men, and things got out of control. So how do you get a safe economy when you have people locked up in 1840 and I'm trying to dissect this whole safe and sustainable economy.
Well, honestly, the protocols were put in place in terms of health actually served us a lot, because as so far we have 0 deaths and our numbers are not past the double digits. And that's something that we can boast about as a federation. However, when it comes to the restriction of movement now, that actually forced a lot of people to stay with people who they usually wouldn't stay with. Sometimes you're in the house and you and the spouse had an argument, and if the first thing you do is clear out. But you can't do that because you run the risk of running into a police officer, having to pay some kind of fine. And that may be the leading cause for the increase in domestic violence, because where you could have escaped the argument, go outside, ease your brain, cool off, you have to actually face this conversation now. And a lot of people, we need to actually train our people in conflict resolution so that we don't resort to beating each other.
No, but let me ask you a tricky question. Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Devon, the restrictions, they are important, and I feel that the only way that these restrictions would help the economy to be safe and sustainable is through constant communication and interaction with the general public. It's not wise to put out restrictions and there aren't any explanation or any concerns that are brought up by the government to help their people to, understand that these restrictions are here for yourself, to help you. And which is why I think that St Kitts and Nevis, they did an amazing job when it came to these restrictions. They did not just put out the restrictions. They had monthly updates, constant updates from the COVID task force, constant updates from our Prime Minister. Even him, he would have encouraged us to, even before the curfew comes on, go for a little walk, go out and exercise. And I think those little things help us to curb the domestic violence and the depression.
Let me add. Now, globally, we have 102 million cases, and about 56.5 have recovered. Million, of course. 2.21 million have died. Is that the actual number of how many persons actually died from COVID and the protocols? Because we're talking about the domestic. I'm trying to be realistic, We're talking about that there was an increase in domestic violence because of the protocols that were implemented. Maybe not here, but generally speaking, in other countries and regionally and internationally. So, even though COVID literally killed people, the health
aspect, the
right?
domestic aspect also killed people as well. I see what you're getting at.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
I honestly don't believe that number was actually added to the number of deaths.
No, it won't.
Because it's one and two separate things. But then you need to understand that one triggers the other. Because you have a restricted people's movement, they can't escape the situations. And they are forced to face the situations, and if you can't defend or actually control that situation, then it goes down the wrong way.
Right. So with the current protocols that are restricting people, and you're seeing an increase in domestic violence, people end up in 1814 and jail and prison, and persons are even dying from it. How do you get a safe economy and a sustainable economy when people are dead? That is the question right there. That is what I'm trying to get at. So I'm going. Maybe the listeners might say I'm going all over the place, but I'm just trying to get to a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy. Because even though, yes, the protocols protected us, the health aspect of it, you still have to look at the other aspects of all the protocols that were implemented, because it did well for most of us, but some people, again, they caught hell.
Devon, that raises the question, though. As you may or may not know, there's a lot of word going around that maybe St. Kitts is, doing a bit too much, as we say, or over-managing it. So that's a thought that we could probably even discuss here right now. Is St. Kitts doing 1 + 1 too much with managing?
I don't think that we're doing too much. We're actually doing what is necessary because I was about to say, because of the fact that the government has actually put these protocols in place and slowly weaned the population off of it, it allows us to have some level of social life, but still control the aspect of the virus to this extent where it doesn't become a serious case in community spread for us. And that actually limits a little bit of the domestic abuse and stuff that happens as a domino effect to the virus. So they slowly weaning off, because remember first curfew was at 6 and then it changed to another time, and then now we practically out till 12 and we don't have curfew. But we still have to follow certain protocols, and if we don't want to go back to that, then we encourage people to follow the protocols so that you can actually maintain that social standing, that social life that you actually want to maintain.
Gentlemen, we've been talking for 55 minutes. I assume we have a lot of calls piled up there. Let us take our first call for the morning. Please be short. Good morning, caller. You are live on Inside the News.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much for the program. And to the gentleman who was saying, how does we carry on an economy with dead people and sick people? And that is a valid point. Someone also raised the issue concerning government maybe overreaching in terms of protecting. I prefer them to be overreaching than underreaching. Because 1 ounce of prevention is better than a whole pound of cure.
Yes.
And you have to give the Prime Minister some credit, because he actually put his face on the epidemic. And plus all the those who encourage the public to follow protocol, the police, the nurses, the CMO, and all those people. Because to me, I think that in a sense, like someone said, they overreach with the weekly program that they bring to everyone, but overreach, it's better to overreach than underreach. I will use that again. And so therefore, I'm happy that a subject like that. But a question that I would like to ask, though, that you could bring up among you all, are we following protocol? Are we relaxed? Are we become lackadaisical? Are we pretending that this thing does not exist? Are we thinking that we are more safer than others, like St. Vincent and the other islands? That is the reason why we take off our mask. And that is why we don't wash hands. That is why we talk in each other's face. And are we forgetting the type of thing that this disease is doing to the people? So I'm not sure. Maybe I'm missing out somewhere. So maybe someone can tell me. Should we still continue the road we are going by following the protocol, by respecting other people's space, by wearing the mask and staying 6 feet apart as much as we can? And I noticed there's a flu and lots of people are getting it. But how? Why? How come lots of people was not getting the flu last year?
Because they don't follow the protocols.
When we were wearing the mask. In my opinion and my view, I think that we should still continue wearing the mask, wash our hands. The hygiene is good. You can't beat that. We must be practical and do the things that are necessary to protect our friends and our neighbors and our relatives. Respect ourselves, and then we will respect on others. Gentlemen, I think I've said enough. Have a good one.
Have a good one, too.
Thank you so much.
Caller raised a very good point, that it's better to overreach than underreach. And what he spoke to as well is I think the term for it is COVID fatigue. And I would definitely say that St. Kitts has a bad case of that. And just walking around town, you see a lot of people without their mask. You see businesses forgetting to put out hand sanitizer. Even at school, I would admit that most people don't wear their mask once they pass the security. The security has to go around every day. Mr. Knight, put on your mask. Or Mr. Monzak, put on your mask. Or I think we are becoming a bit lackadaisical because, we say, okay, we don't have case or they're locked up in the hotel. So I think that is something that we have to continue to keep in our minds, that COVID is still here and at any moment it could become free.
And the caller did raise a good point. Our society is becoming very big complacent, and the superintendent Henry actually did stated that, in which because we are so protected, we don't see the need, and we feel like it's not out in the public, so we don't have to do this, we don't have to do that. And as he mentioned, the flu, a simple flu came through, and Everybody got it. In a time where we're supposed to be wearing face masks, sanitizing, how is it possible that this simple flu was able to penetrate and do its do? It was as if the flu was a partner to COVID.
Well, again, I mean, for me, I would say that the flu is all around St Kitts and Nevis. So it begs the question, are we really following the protocols that are in place?
There are some of us that are abiding by the protocol, but as Marius mentioned, there's some of us that are fatigued with the protocol. There's some of us that are fed up, some of us that are sick of the face masks, some that don't really pay attention to the hand sanitizer. I've found myself going into business and I have to double look at the door, like, where's the hand sanitizer?
But I just said that I went into a store yesterday and I tired.
And there's nothing inside of the dispenser, like.
You know, but we've been talking for a very long time. I'm sorry we couldn't take any more calls. It is now at the 12, so we will be taking a break to hear from the news on Inside the News. Please stay tuned. We'll be back at 12:30 to continue this discussion, as there is so much to talk about. There is so much to say, and there are so many other little things that we really have to get at before we close out this program. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our fans. Thank you for tuning in via Facebook, YouTube, and we look forward to your continued participation. Stay tuned until 12:30.
Found the sound. 98.9 WIN FM.
We now bring you the WINN FM Headline News. The WINN FM Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, Carib Brewery, CNC Trading.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, DeLeo Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic, and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
With the WIN Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am Devon Cornelius.
More times, we find it less painful to give up than to go forward. This hierarchical structure makes it hard to move.
Son of the soil and a local spoken word artist, Patrick Walters describes his journey into the world of professional poetry as an interesting one. Patrick Walters is a spoken word artist, artistic consultant, and arts educator who has spent over 6 years professionally using poetry to place emphasis on mental wellness and overall well-being. Through workshops and showcases, his message is passed on to the hearts and minds of his growing audience. After releasing his debut album, The Offshore Account, Patrick has performed at venues across North America and the Caribbean region. The spoken word artist said during an interview on WINN's Island Tea on Friday, January 29th, that his interest in poetry was always there, but grew while in high school. Walters started performing at a popular local spoken word speakeasy event, Island Expressions, organized by Samal Duggins. Island Expressions was a platform for local creatives to share their art forms publicly in a safe and supportive space. However, as with everything in life, change happens, and Walters found himself leaving the Federation in 2012 to pursue a degree in psychology at York University in Toronto, Canada, subsequently graduating in 2015. While in Toronto, he was exposed to the prevalence of art and poetry and the opportunities to pursue the once hobby as a career. In his new environment, while attending university, he built a portfolio and explored new experiences. After graduating with his bachelor's degree in psychology, he decided to pursue poetry full-time. Through this decision to pursue poetry as his career, he found art education, teaching other people one's art form through workshops and various speaking engagements.
I'm tasked with, educating young people, educating other folks who are interested in learning poetry and improving their skills or just improving themselves as people.
Through these various workshops, he's been able to mold his degree in psychology into the arts education sector, effectively not only turning a hobby into a career, but molding it with his original career and academic path. He admitted that he was blessed to have been able to become a full-time poet.
Leaving St Kitts with a hobby or a passion and turning it into a career is not something that, most people have the opportunity to do. So I'm very blessed to be in a situation where I was able to turn that into a living and pursue a passion. Also, like you said, using my degree to kind of further that interest.
Walters wishes to address the challenges of pursuing one's creative passions and providing people in the Federation with avenues to grow, improve, and publicize their works locally, regionally, and internationally. One of the major areas he wishes to address in the Federation to help bolster our footing in the art world would be investing in arts education, which he says is very lacking in St Kitts and Nevis.
Strife out there ain't ish but a fight out there. This was a coaching lesson. Go make your own way now. It's a left and a right out of here.
Tributes poured in on social media after news broke that Emmy Award-winning actress Cicely Tyson had died at the age of 96. The iconic figure, whose mother and father, Frederica Huggins Tyson and William Augustine Tyson from the island of Nevis, landed her first television role on NBC's Frontiers of Faith in 1951. Miss Tyson received critical praise for her performance as Rebecca Morgan in the film Sounder in 1972 and appeared in notable movies such as the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, The Help, and Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Nevis Premier Mark Brantley in a Facebook post Thursday evening said of the late actress, Miss Tyson was a class act. Her career was truly legendary. Her life inspired many. I extend deepest condolences to the family. May she rest in eternal peace. Former Prime Minister of St Kitts and Nevis, Sir Kennedy Simmons, in tribute to Miss Tyson, said she was a very special guest of the St Kitts and Nevis government at our independence celebrations in 1983. In 1989, she returned to the Federation, this time bringing Reverend Jesse Jackson in the aftermath of Hurricane Hugo. She was as proud of her heritage as we were of her. Rest in peace, Cicely Tyson. You've done us well. You've done us proud. Former President of the United States of America, Barack Obama, who awarded Ms. Tyson with the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor in the United States, shared, "Michelle and I were honored when Cicely came to the White House to accept the Medal of Freedom, knowing she was one of the many giants upon whose shoulders we stood, a trailblazer whose legacy couldn't be measured by her Emmys and Tony and Oscar alone, but by the barriers she broke and the dreams she made possible." Ms. Tyson won 3 Primetime Emmy Awards, a Tony Award in 2013, and an Honorary Academy Award in 2018. She received a Career Achievement Peabody Award, a Television Hall of Fame Award, and a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2007. Her book, Just As I Am, which chronicled her life and incredible career, was published on January 26, 2021.
In regional news,
this is the Carib Update News Service. I'm Wendy Chateau reporting. Antigua looking to plug revenue leaks as the government there presents billion-dollar budget. This is the big story we're tracking this hour on Friday, January 29, 2021. Details of this story and more straight ahead. Now for the details. Antigua's Prime Minister Gaston Brown says his cash-strapped government will be reducing the amount of waivers it has been giving in recent years. In presenting a billion-dollar budget Thursday, he said the government has been leaking too much revenue through those waivers.
Careful note should be taken that in 2019, of every dollar that was collected by the Customs and Excise Division, unfortunately, an equivalent amount was waived. This is not acceptable nor sustainable. Therefore, the decision has been made to gradually reduce total exemptions to no more than 25% of potential revenue. And I know that there are times when our constituents continue to put pressure on us to provide waivers. But you must understand that this is not a time that the government could give those discretionary waivers.
Brown said there is a concern with hotels in particular, which continue to seek waivers.
With effect from February 1st, 2021, where the CIF value of imports is $10,000 or less, no exemption will be granted. And this applies to all sectors, including the hotel sector. You know, we have an unfortunate situation in which, having incentivized the hotel sector from the inception of the construction of the enterprise, they continue to force the government to give them concessions on every item that they import into the country. Even if it's a hairdryer for use within the hotel, they demand concessions. We're saying that those days
He also
are
said
over.
that his government is looking at how to apply its sales tax to international online purchases.
We're going to source to make sure that when you make a purchase online, let's say Amazon for example, that the tax is collected at source. Now the details of this initiative will be declared when the methodology for applying ABST is finalized.
The Antiguan leader said that his government will also be implementing a wage freeze because of the challenges of the time. He said there will be no increases for public servants this year.
I emphasize that we will also maintain the wage freeze and continue to limit hirings except in cases where hiring is necessary to achieve the objectives of the government's fiscal and growth strategy or to deliver essential services. Clearly, we're not empowered to give any increases at this time, and I don't know that anyone would conclude otherwise. And you can be assured that as soon as my government is empowered to give an increase to public servants, they will not have to agitate for it.
Brown acknowledged that the current pandemic has brought about many challenges, but he sounded a hopeful note nonetheless. Grenadian trade unions are accusing the government of going rogue. The Keith Mitchell administration will not be paying workers the due 4% increase this month end, even without a deal with the unions on how to move forward. Trade unionist Andre Lewis blasts the government's attitude.
This is a very serious matter for us because what it speaks to is a blatant approach by the government to dictate what they want.
The Grenada government had called on the public sector unions to defer the increases because of fiscal challenges. But President of the Grenada Trades Union Council, Andre Lewis, says the government has rejected its counter-proposals on how to go forward and yet is bent on going ahead to not pay the increases.
But you can't tell us about our bread without addressing our national bread. You can find money to do all different things. You can find money to do all different things and tell us on the other hand that it is not our business where the money comes from to pay Grenlec and other places. Yes, or WRB. But you want to demand of us what to do with our increases. And our increases that will go back into the economy. Yes, our increases, and taking into account that quite a number of our workers work for under $2,000 a month. Quite a number of our workers work for $1,500 or less a month.
This is Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service. In Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement, PNM, says it may take 6 months to resolve the current constitutional crisis in Tobago. The crisis was created as the Tobago House of Assembly Act does not address how to break a deadlock if a presiding officer is not elected. The PNM and Progressive Democratic Patriots, which won 6 seats each in the January 25 THA elections, met in the THA chamber yesterday, and each party had its own nominee for presiding officer. The PNM proposed Ingrid Melville, while the PDP put forward Julian Skeet. After the Assembly's clerk, Myrna MacLeo, did 4 polls for the positions, 2 by secret ballot and 2 via a public vote, the deadlock remained. Citing the THA's act as she abandoned the day's proceedings, saying that it could go no further. This has been another edition of Newsbreak from the Carib Update News Service, the Caribbean's newsroom. I am Wendy Chateau reporting.
We now bring you this international report.
It was a morning in Kabul that most Afghans cannot forget. In late November, the capital was attacked using dozens of rockets. For Naweed, his wife, and 3 children, it was too much.
My wife grabbed one child and I grabbed another. I forgot my daughter under the blanket. I was out in the corridor and it was very bad. Rockets were flying everywhere. My children are traumatized, and when someone closes the door hard, they get scared. They think that rockets are fired. They run out of the room and go downstairs. We're living on the top floor, and God forbid if a rocket hits this place. We also put plastic on our windows to keep ourselves safe if there's an explosion.
Naweed works in Afghanistan repairing air conditioners. That morning, he decided to leave Afghanistan. He's taking his family across the hazardous Iranian border, where he says thousands more are waiting to cross illegally and move further west. With most of his relatives already out of the country, he says he's forced to do the same.
I prefer to die crossing the border, but not here. To be killed like this, here you don't know if you lose a hand, an eye, or a foot. I also fear that my kids will starve after my death. But by leaving, we know that we're at least going in a direction, and we have hope. As they say, if there is hope, there is life.
Despite the coronavirus pandemic, business is still booming for agencies assisting those who can afford to legally apply for a visa to another country. An Afghan passport is viewed poorly in many countries, and foreign embassies have strict rules on issuing visas for Afghans. For many, the United States visa lottery is their only chance to reach the West. Applications from Afghanistan for the U.S. lottery almost doubled in 2020, reaching more than 120,000.
If someone's family members or relatives go to another country and they see all that comfort and peace and their children in peace, they call the rest of their families and encourage them to leave. When they come here for the first, second, and third time, they definitely decide to migrate.
The rising insecurity has forced many to close their businesses or move them to another country. Poverty and crime are rising, and when night falls, fear reigns in the Afghan capital. A recent wave of targeted assassinations and threats is also forcing many of Afghanistan's most educated people to leave, and peace talks between the government and the Taliban in Doha have stalled.
After they started the negotiations, the violence has increased. If we have hope, why should we leave our country? Why should we accept the risk of this journey? I kiss my children in the morning and they ask me to bring something for them after work, but I tell them, let's go now and buy that for you now, because I don't know if I will be coming back.
And so Naweed and his family are joining the thousands to cross these mountains and look for peace in what they hope will be their final destination, Europe. Filia Contrafori, Al Jazeera, Kabul.
If only the dead could speak, says Abdou Diouf. Then the living would know of the pain and distress caused by coronavirus. Diouf wasn't even aware that COVID-19 killed his 40-year-old friend Mustafa Gay until an autopsy was carried out. He now pictures him all alone and gasping for air in a hospital corridor.
He died in very difficult circumstances. He fell ill at home. After he got treatment, he died. We were later told he got the coronavirus in the hospital, and that's what killed him.
Senegal, like many other African countries, is going through a second wave of infections. Dr. Abdoulaye Bousso, who's in charge of the government response, says the trends don't look good. The new virulent variant from the UK has been detected in the country.
It's the main challenge to push people to respect barrier measures now. And for us, it's critical for people to respect it.
A curfew's in place and both public and private gatherings are banned. But many people aren't following the restrictions, allowing the virus to spread rapidly. Too many patients, not enough hospitals. Before the pandemic, the Senegalese health system was already overstretched. Now authorities are turning prisons into treatment centers faced with an increased case of infections. And whilst the government is praising medical staff with public messages like this one, there aren't enough doctors to keep the health system running. To make up for this shortage, the government has drafted in medical students to work in the wards and treat patients, but they are not qualified and are still learning.
We are overwhelmed and being sent to all types of wards. Some days I'm a cardiologist, a nephrologist, a gynecologist. I'm asked to do it all.
It will be months before most African countries get access to vaccines, with health experts predicting the outbreak will only get worse, causing many more deaths before it can be contained. Nicholas Hawke, Al Jazeera, Dakar.
A second vaccine has shown to be effective in major trials in just 24 hours. The latest is the Janssen vaccine. It's 66% effective overall and only needs a single dose. And crucially, it is 85% effective against severe disease. Last night, Novavax announced UK trials had shown its vaccine to be 89% effective. And crucially, that vaccine protects against the new, more contagious UK variant. If approved, the UK has millions of doses of both vaccines on order, though they wouldn't be available until later in the year. Our medical editor, Fergus Walsh, reports.
COVID vaccine trials keep delivering results beyond all expectations. Volunteers in Southampton are among tens of thousands worldwide testing the vaccine from Janssen, part of the pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson, which will produce 1 billion doses of its jab this year.
We have a single-shot vaccine which can protect very highly 85% against severe disease and complete protection against death and hospitalization after day 28. And that's a finding which was across the world in all the regions independent of age and independent of strain.
The results from the US biotech Novavax are nothing short of spectacular. This site in London, part of a UK-wide trial, which showed the vaccine offered strong protection even against the contagious new variant first identified in Kent.
It's very significant because we were able to show that the vaccine works well against both the original strain and the new strain. It had 96% efficacy against the original COVID-19 strain, and yet it still had 86% efficacy against the variant strain.
So how do they work? The Novavax jab uses proteins from the surface spike of coronavirus and combine these with a chemical booster or adjuvant. The Janssen vaccine puts the gene for the spike protein into a harmless virus, a similar approach to the Oxford AstraZeneca jab. Both vaccines prime the immune system, including creating antibodies which will target coronavirus in the event of infection. The Novavax jab will be manufactured on Teesside, part of a deal struck last year to ensure a steady flow of vaccine. The UK has ordered 100 million doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and 40 million of Pfizer's. Both of these are in limited supply at the moment. The 17 million doses of Moderna's vaccine won't arrive until the spring. Then there's the two vaccines which have just yielded results. 60 million doses of the Novavax jab, they'll take a few months to be delivered, plus 30 million of the single-dose Janssen vaccine. Now, if those last two are approved, that'll be enough doses to immunise the entire UK population twice over. Later this year, the UK is likely to have such a surplus of COVID vaccine, it may be giving it away. But for the next few months, supply will be tight.
2 more vaccines to add to the toolbox. This gives more resilience and more tools, new tools that were different from the last ones. It means that we can spread the vaccine around. It means that we can really start to impact on this pandemic, not just here, but right the way across the world.
Are you ready? Yeah.
Vaccinating one country in a pandemic is like putting a sticking plaster on a gaping wound. Until the whole world is protected, none of us truly will be. Fergus Walsh, BBC News.
That was the WINN FM headline news, brought to you by KDP Enterprises, Caribbean Alliance, Carrie Brewery, CNC Trading, The Grange.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built non-governmental healthcare organization on St Kitts, offering 24-hour nursing, therapeutic and residential care for older adults? It's situated at Otley, 7 miles east of Vastair in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodation to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020, fax 466-8221, or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com, or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We are faced with tough decisions every day, but choosing the right home or motor insurance shouldn't be one. You need fast claim settlement from a company that's been rooted for over 31 years. And don't forget the A Excellent rating by AM Best. Make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Reliable insurance that you can count on. Get a quote today for your home, motor, contents, and liability insurance needs, and make the intelligent choice. Caribbean Alliance. Tomorrow secured. Local agents, Dalil Walwyn & Co. Limited. Telephone 465-2631 or 469-5303 for the Nevis office.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of the cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Are you wondering what to do this holiday season? Will it be the same? Will you be able to give your family all that they need? Well, with TDC Financial Services, all your holiday woes will disappear. You can get up to $35,000 unsecured for your holiday needs. Give us a call at 465-6516 or 469-5430 to find out how we can help to make your holidays happier for you and your family. TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Welcome back to Inside the News, right here on WINN FM 98.9. I'm your host, Devon Cornelius, and we are here with reps from Sniper. Again, for those of you who are just tuning in, the topic for today is how do current protocols ensure a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy? We are going to continue to talk until maybe around 1 o'clock, and then we will open the phone lines. And we will allow you to be a part of the discussion. So around 1 o'clock, we will open the phone lines. But for now, we're going to continue, dissect this topic. Very, very interesting discussion. And I think we have a lot more to add to it. So stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Inside the News. And welcome to those of you who have joined from Facebook, YouTube, and other social media platforms. You are listening to Inside the News with Skyper. So, we're looking at the current protocols. And when we say protocols, maybe not necessarily for our country, St Kitts and Nevis, but the current protocols and those that we know of in other countries. Now, when COVID began last year, CARICOM came up with a plan to create something dubbed CARICOM bubble. And then I remember a regional prime minister saying, the bubble bus. The bubble bus. So we want to have a conversation on the CARICOM bubble, which is basically, or which should have been one of the protocols to ensure that there is a safe and sustainable post-COVID economy. But that did not work. Mario, why do you think the bubble...
The bubble bus.
Devon, that's a very interesting topic, and I'm glad you brought it up because we live in a region that's very connected. Our cultures, our history, our language, everything about us is uniquely Caribbean. And when we thought of the CARICOM bubble, when I heard it first, I thought, that was a very good idea. And the fact that we have so many family members living in other neighboring Caribbean countries. There are people who work. We think of people who work with the OECS, people who work with the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, who, before COVID, traveling was just a part of their everyday lives. They would move from St. Kitts, they have a meeting with the ministers of finance in Antigua, and they hop on a plane, they hop on Liat, actually, hop over. By tonight, they're back in St. Kitts. And so the CARICOM bubble on paper was a very good idea because, it wouldn't make sense for them to have to leave St. Kitts, go to Antigua, quarantine for 14 days for an 8-hour meeting. And we realize that now most meetings are online. And so that eliminated part of the travel. But we know that not all meetings could be done in that fashion. And so the CARICOM bubble on paper, as I said, is a very good initiative. But what needs to be done, though, is a constant monitoring of the bubble. If it is ever re-implemented, countries that are deemed low risk, if they ever go through with it, you could be low risk today and medium risk tomorrow. And so it's not something you could say, okay, Antigua is low risk and leave them there. You have to constantly be monitoring. Oh, they have a case. Where did this case come from? Is it a community spread case? Is it just a tourist coming in? And the fact that you realize, okay, it's just one imported case trapped in a hotel, then you say, okay, it's still safe. The bubble's still safe. But from the time you realize a pin is coming close to the bubble, you have to know, hey, the bubble is shut down. You can't allow the bubble to pop. Otherwise, it would be a definite failure. But going forward, I think that's something that we need to consider because, as you say, we don't know when COVID is going to end. And there are lots of things that really can't be done virtually and wouldn't be feasible to implement 14-day quarantine for 2-day meetings and that sort of stuff. So I think on paper it's a good idea, but practically it has to be done in a responsible way. And as the caller mentioned earlier, overreaching is always better than underreaching.
I think that I'm happy that the bubble is burst because we're still in a pre-COVID mindset. And I think that the CARICOM bubble is a pre-COVID mindset. Why is it that we are risking ourselves to short stay travel? The CARICOM bubble, to me, it does not make any sense, and I'm happy that it burst. I don't feel that we should risk ourselves, for somebody to come here for 24, 48 hours, and who knows, they may still have the COVID-19. I believe that the 14-day quarantine or any amount of quarantine or even longer is necessary. And, in this environment, why are we traveling to Barbados for 2 days? Who wants to travel for 2 days? it should be essential travel, you know, the medicine, the long stay visits. That's what it should be about. So I don't think that the CARICOM bubble, I don't like it, and I hope that they don't bring it back.
I would have to agree with Jillian to an extent, because yes, the bubble was a good idea. However, we need to understand that as people move around, they have some level of interaction is going to occur within the different airports. Because some of the airports we have are hubs, and there's people that go in different ways, so that you can still contract the virus within, you might be tested negative leaving one point, but then at the time you get to an next port, all of a sudden you're positive. So I really do think that the bubble was a great idea, but it wasn't a great idea for now. It wasn't a great idea for now. I really like the fact that when you come to our country, you know for a fact, this is the protocols that the country have in place, regardless of where you're coming from. You have to lock down, you have to quarantine for 14 days. So you knowing that you come into a country that has that lockdown in place or this stipulation in place, you have to actually plan your meeting around that place. So, okay, you have a 2-day meeting, but you have to be locked down for 14 days. So you're not coming to the country for 2 days. You're coming for the country for about 16, 17 days. So you need to actually include your quarantine time in the actual meeting time, so that so that the people you're meeting with know that, okay, during this time, the person is here in the country, however, they're inaccessible due to the fact they're locked down. We can't move that because, they're coming from a Caribbean country, and I understand freedom of movement and free trade and whatnot. But we need to understand that each Caribbean country needs to protect themselves. And if this is the stipulation that the governments of the Caribbean countries deem fit to protect their people, then we have to follow the protocols. Not because you're coming from a different Caribbean country, that means, you coming from a Caribbean country, I tested negative there, but yes, but my protocol says, bap, 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 bap. If I lift my protocol for you, somebody else might challenge it.
Let me add by saying, I think the CARICOM bubble was a good idea, again on paper. Whoever came with that idea, they had something in their mind that they wanted to achieve. But again, the implementation of it was poor,
flimsy,
and it wasn't really thought out properly. My suggestion is, or still is, let me say, is you have the CARICOM bubble, but everybody was basically doing their own thing. So, two questions are being raised. What is CARICOM? I want to say, what is CARICOM? What is CARICOM? And two, what is the bubble? Because if you have the CARICOM bubble with, for example, St Kitts and Nevis participating, Antigua participating, Dominica, SVG, TT, JA, but JA and Antigua doing their own thing, relaxing, living life, normal, but the other countries are strict with their protocols and are doing the necessary things to make sure that they're safe. Then, what is CARICOM's role there? What I proposed was, from the minute COVID began, in the CARICOM and the Caribbean region heard about COVID, CARICOM, I don't know if it was possible, but CARICOM should have taken a stand that all members of CARICOM locked down from the international community immediately. And that is where the CARICOM bubble
could have
begun.
Yeah.
That's it right there. But you wanted a CARICOM bubble, but this person was wide open. And that person was kind of open. So it wasn't practical. It was nice. Oh, CARICOM bubble.
and then it goes back to what Mario was saying earlier in the fact that even though you have the CARICOM bubble, you need to, yes, a country may say, oh, we're locked down, but then they're still allowing, some tricky here, little corner people come in. You need to monitor, okay, you have a spike there, hey, we're going on over there, you're spiking now. That's not part of the agreement. So you need to keep a that bubble actually requires a lot of monitoring.
Right.
And if, as Devon mentioned, if CARICOM did state it at the beginning, like, okay, we are a bunch of Caribbean islands and we work out that. We are going to come together and we're going to say, okay, for the duration of this pandemic, we are close to the international public. Then that bubble would have been the most effective. But we can't wait until someone inside of the CARICOM bubble has have that to decide, okay, we're locking, because we're practically locking that virus within ourselves and exchanging it with each other. So it's like communion.
And I could be wrong. I guess someone else, maybe one of our callers, would have a different opinion. But I think if that was done, where the members of CARICOM had taken a stand to lock down from the international world and feed off of themselves, I think it may have worked. I don't know, but I think it may have worked where travel continues. You get to go to Jamaica for a vacation, and of course not business as usual. You follow the protocols.
You have to follow the protocols.
But into the long quarantine.
It will limit
and all that. And I think what that would have done too is that would have saved the tourism sectors in so many countries, because we know that there are some countries that really can't close their borders too long because they're so heavily dependent on this tourism. One industry. And I think that regional travel would have been a solution to solving that dependency on the tourism, because although they may not have been making more, it's much more than they would have been making if they shut down or have the long quarantine, which is deterring some people from coming. And so the fact that someone could hop on a plane and go for a vacation at Sandals in St. Lucia, I think that would have helped to boost
that would have also helped our regional airlines as well.
Yes. And if I may add, there is a comment from someone on the Facebook feed which says, will some countries or some CARICOM countries reasonably felt their economies could not withstand closing of borders? They needed that foreign exchange.
There are some countries that I kind of agree with that comment. Yes, there are some countries that, as Maria said, you are heavily dependent on the foreign investment or foreign exchange. But however, you need to understand that even though you are heavily dependent on that, your main resources is your people. And you have to protect your people to the best of your ability, because without your people, how can you exchange? You don't have the people to manufacture whatever you're exchanging.
And if I may add, I see the point of the commenter, of the comment, but what I would say, if, for example, St Kitts and Nevis, we locked down from other countries, but there was still a little bit of economic activity where people began to sell masks. People began to do hand sanitizers. People began to do their little own
even
businesses.
some of the factories, I think they say, were making pads for ventilators and
right. So people immediately people went into
creativity mode.
Right. And so new businesses started and people were able to continue to keep the lights on and basically things were good for them. So again, I may be wrong, but what if that was a Caribbean approach where all of us did that and fed off of ourselves? Then maybe we would have been in a different situation. Or yes, I understand the foreign exchange, but you never know. That is my take on it. But to say you're going to have a CARICOM bubble and everybody is doing their own thing, then
that bubble is not effective.
Not effective. But at the same time, looking at this whole situation, one would say, of course, protocols may or would be different because of the size of the population of the country. So the protocols would have to be different in Jamaica versus Montserrat, or Antigua versus TNT, because it's a lot more people down there over there, and so the protocols maybe would have to be more strict over there.
For the larger countries.
I don't know, but that is just my take on it. I think the CARICOM bubble was a good idea on paper, but in terms of the implementation of it, it was.
Do you think then that each individual country, or even on the smaller scale, not the CARICOM, even the OECS could have taken probably an approach of like low risk to low risk country transport? Not that maybe no quarantine at all. No, that would be ridiculous. But they maybe a week quarantine or a 10-day quarantine, like a reduced quarantine period, because you know that, hey, I'm going from St. Kitts to, let's say maybe Anguilla. Anguilla has survived Corona very well. And, you know, you're moving from a low risk or let's say very low risk country to have another very low risk country. And you test before you leave and you test upon arrival and quarantine for a little bit. Do you think that would be effective?
Yeah, it has legs. It has legs. I think that, you know, we in the OECS we have the same characteristics. So the same people. So I think that we'll be able to manage it a bit more in the OECS.
I do agree that it's a better alternative. However, we need to understand that some of these countries are hubs. So even though you're coming from a low-risk environment, there's a high chance that you pass somebody that's coming from somewhere that's high risk, and within passing that person, you hear a kahoom, and all of a sudden, COVID.
But then that's where the quarantine and test would come in, no?
Yeah, but then you still allowed it to pass your borders.
Well, let me say, interesting, and I like it. But remember, there were some countries that on Sunday, they were low risk. And then
on Sunday afternoon, they're high risk. Yeah.
You see that in the fridge and leave it. It's something you have to Corona, you can't even say watching it every day. Every minute, you have to be monitoring. Where did this case come from? Was it imported? You have to, Corona, so you can't just leave it in the oven and walk off. You have to be monitoring the pot, stirring the pot. You can't let it
volatile.
There's another comment on the live which says, a bubble does not negate each country looking after the best interest of its people.
I actually agree with that, because not because you're inside of the bubble mean that you're going to rely on CARICOM to look after your people. You have to look after your people still. So I actually agree with that comment.
Because St Kitts and Nevis definitely would be concerned about their nationals, their citizens.
You'll be concerned about your citizens.
But even though you're in the bubble and you're from St Kitts and Nevis and you're in Jamaica, you never know, Jamaica could care less about you.
Exactly.
So very, very interesting comment there.
Yeah.
Very interesting comment. Jamaica could care less. Let me not call Jamaica here. Let me just say another country. Another country could care less.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, we're just looking at this CARICOM bubble thing and seeing what could have worked, what we think, you know, may have worked, and I don't know, but you know, COVID is here and it's here to stay. Not stay forever, of course. Let me retract my statement. COVID is here and is based on what the scientists and experts have said, is going to be here for a little bit more time, you know. But we're approaching the 1 o'clock hour, so we're going to open the phone lines and we want to hear from you. You know, be a part of the discussion. I think we have a call already. Okay. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Inside the News.
I hope and I pray that you guys would take a little time to thank Taiwan, because this country is in constant consultation with Taiwan. So don't take all the praises for yourself.
Thank you, caller, so much for your comment. And if I may add, I've been following Taiwan, and I think they have done well.
Yes,
in
managing this,
really down there,
especially being close to the origin.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I thought that it would have been crazy down there, and you know, people dropping like flies. But I've been following Taiwan, and they've been doing very well.
Very well.
And apart from, you know, what the caller said with, Taiwan in consultation with St Kitts and Nevis, you probably have other countries out there in consultation with countries who are doing well. So again, let me not say again because I never said it, but we have never seen anything like this before. And those who have seen it are probably very, very old, or probably have gone to the great beyond. But this is new for all of us. It's new for all of us. And so you have to be open to suggestions and ideas, and you have to try something and hope that it works. But it boils right back down to the topic. How do the current protocols ensure a safe economy when COVID is all gone? How do we make sure that if another pandemic comes,
we're in a better position?
Yeah, would we be able to withstand the force of another global economic fallout? That is the question. Some countries have done well. Some countries are struggling. Some countries are, COVID. And that's it, But interesting discussion. So we are still taking your calls. If you forgot the number, let me say it again. It's 466-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989. And we are also taking your comments and your participation via WhatsApp at 662-2204. You are listening to Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. If we have no calls, we will just take a short break to hear from our sponsors. Have a water break, and then when we come back, we will continue.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new Platinum Loyalty Card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum Loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a Cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the Cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum Loyalty Card today because you deserve platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Honey, I have so much to do. And now I need to go to TDC Home and Building Depot to buy the new fridge.
Samantha, stop worrying. You can purchase the fridge and whatever else you may need with TDC Home and Building Depot's curbside and delivery service.
Really?
Just send your request via WhatsApp or email, pay online, and get your purchase by pickup or delivery.
Wow! I'm going to try TDC curbside and delivery service now.
Terms and conditions apply. Check our social media pages for all the details.
Welcome back to Inside the News. We have another caller. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Inside the News.
Good afternoon, Kevon, and the young people there.
Good afternoon, Miss Henry. This is Devon.
Yeah, I enjoy. That's Devon.
Yes, Devon.
Kevon, I tell you already, you got to check it out, you know. You got to work on this thing. Anyway, I am quite impressed with the discourse.
Thank you.
However, I want to maybe correct, elaborate. Now, when you began, they were talking about the cost of living is high. How do you determine the cost of living? I want an answer.
How do you determine the cost of living?
How do you determine if the cost of living is high?
Well, I think that is more of
comparison of prices.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, individually.
It's measured by the
CPI.
By the rate of inflation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What is the rate of inflation for St Kitts and Nevis?
I could look into that and get back to
Just
you.
one of them, look on the ECCB. You know, you see, they are different. You know, we say life hard and things expensive, and you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to know the rate of inflation, which is the increase in the prices over time. Now, you could have different rates in different sectors. Now, if you are concerned about the food, because there's a sector in the index, consumer price index.
Yes.
You could have a low rate of inflation so even if food prices went up, there may be decreases in other sectors which would bring down the rate of inflation.
Level the rate of inflation.
You follow?
Which would level the rate of inflation.
You find the rate?
No, not yet.
No, because you see, sometimes I think I'm just saying it for the education of our people. Because we make statements. Now, there are choices we make sometimes that make life hard. The things we buy, because there are substitutes, you know. If you decide to eat out every day, every week, you know, a pound of rice sometimes could last for what you buy.
Yes.
But let me ask you, Ms. Henry, and I see your point, and we're on that. But in your honest opinion, do you think that the cost of living is high? One, and two, with that last comment, I was having a conversation the other day with someone when they were saying we can't be upset with poor people or people who don't really have it all when they go out and try to look good or eat good, because they have been spending most of their lives in poverty, poor. So if they decide to spend the money on a Chinese instead of paying the water, then we may not be able to understand, because we can eat the Chinese and pay the water bill, but for them they would want to eat the Chinese. So I mean, for me, and I that is just my opinion, I think it's different. Until we are really in the position that one is in, we may not be able to understand fully.
Let me answer you.
Go ahead.
I was born poor, lived poor for a while, not exceedingly rich, but I'm managing. What I use managing. Choices determine outcomes, you know. And as I said sometime before, you make bad choices, you get bad outcomes. Now let us start with the poor. The poor, as everybody know, consume, say 90%, in some cases 100% of what they earn on basic goods. Call it basic goods, eh? Within that group, even in the food group, you hear about backyard garden, the type of foods we eat. If we were to seriously budget, the word is budget, there wouldn't be no state there, you know. All of us come from there, the choices you make. Now, if you believe, if you are convinced, you see this thing about, poor proud, you hear about poor proud? And wanting to be seen, you must know your limitation. It is cheaper even than the Chinese food costs $5 or $7. What is the price of a pound of rice? And some chicken. So we're talking about?
Miss Henry, if I may comment, some people may not have the luxury of budgeting because the money they work for is just barely enough to actually pay the bills and maintain that lifestyle.
It
so they
is
don't
choices. Let me help you here, young man. You know, some people, I tell people, all right, let's start with the phone. A simple thing like your phone. These choices you make, you know. And I'm talking about the extreme poor, right? The extreme poor are supposed to go up to the social service and get help. The ordinary worker, television, water, cable, phone. I mean, some people have Wi-Fi and still putting on package on data package on the phone. I mean, you make proper decision. You decide what you're going to eat, when you're going to eat, and you try and eat healthy. But let's take the children. A lot of what we call poor, because I know what poor smell like. I lived it. The government provides free lunch. Free lunch. And yet some of the same poor giving the children, or they take the $20 for lunch. Healthy food. You see where the budgeting comes in?
Ms. Henry, if I may add.
Wait. A lot of what we consume, we could make. Go ahead, young man.
If I may add, and it's a comment I made earlier, not sure if it really stuck with you, but again, how okay, you made a reference where you said you would have someone who may have Wi-Fi at home, and then they put on data. You have people who could afford to put on Wi-Fi and data at the same time, and you have those who they don't really have the luxury of having Wi-Fi and data. So when they get the opportunity, they take it.
It's like an emotional booster.
Right. So again, we may not be able, and some people may not be able to understand why they do it. And yes, it's choices. I agree with you. But we all make different choices. And sometimes we make choices based on our current situation. We make choices based on... But you can't be vexed with people to make choices on their emotions.
Choices must be rational. Take, for example, you see this car and truck and so business. Your neighbor got one, you want one. Some poor people got one for everybody in the house, you know. The so-called poor. I mean, we got to face it. There are choices we must make. You want a house. Let's talk a house. You want a house. You know certain things you can't do because you have a mortgage to pay. You coming out of a house, you're going to throw away everything you have, and you go down and you credit the people stuff. We must make rational choices.
Right.
I mean, poor is no excuse, you know. Poor is no excuse. And if you know you need water, back to the young man, if you know you need water and you need electricity, there must be priority. After food, shelter, clothing. That is what you really need, eh? There must be priority.
Right.
So you can't come to me, well, I can't pay my water bill because
let us get to the question. We have a few other callers on the line,
yes,
and time is really running out.
Yeah, the question about the what you call them, the things for what the NEOC put out.
The protocols?
Protocols. No, I have a daughter living in Barbados. Good afternoon if you're listening, Carol. Good afternoon. You have heard the uproar what's happening in Barbados? Yes. The community spread. And people now dying. This thing about, nobody could tell me what to do and whatever. We have got to get over this selfishness. Because while it bothers you, and you feel that they're infringing on your human rights and your constitutional rights, you must think about other people. Look at now what happened in Barbados now. Before time, they wouldn't put on the mask. They do as they like. And now everybody's suffering. You know, from Tuesday they're locking down.
Right. Ms. Henry, we have a few calls.
Right,
get
then.
to the question. Thank you so much for your input. We have any other calls? We have a comment from our WhatsApp which says, and I quote, "Good afternoon, here is my input. When we talk about being inside a bubble that is supposed to be a case of where everyone within that bubble, no matter which country, should be following the exact same protocols and procedures. I am telling you this as a COVID victim. In St. Lucia, they the protocols of government, in my personal opinion, is very slack and need revamping. It is one thing to say something and not put the enforcement needed to make the protocols work. How can this country go from having less than 50 cases to having more than 1,200 cases?
Mhm.
St. Lucia has gotten over 600 cases in January alone. This is a comment from our WhatsApp number. Again, we are still receiving your messages, 662-2204. And very interesting piece. Let me see that. Very
Well,
interesting.
Generally,
Anybody want to add to that?
I understand the what they call it, the commenter, yes, is probably getting that. And I really think that what happened is that the governments themselves need to clamp down on their policies, like enforce their policies and make sure they stick to the policies. If you're said that you should not be seen without a mask, if you're seen without a mask, then you should be punished and penalized and face destruction.
Mhm.
If more governments clamp down on their regulations, then there will be a lot more people that's forced to follow the regulations. And when you're forced to follow the regulations, then it actually lower the spike. But because, you might see, okay, one person don't got a mask, let him go. That one person may encourage another person not to wear a mask, and then that person
And
gets
even
encouraged.
not just that, they see, he gets away. So
Yes,
I'll get away too.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we need to nip it in the bud that when you see one person without a mask, charge them.
Yeah.
One person, an event that's not extending social distancing, shut down that event.
Well,
do not let anything slip, anything at all. Cop on me, let one slide, everybody is going to slide.
As you said, my mind is going back to the case where the person who was in isolation broke out. And I'm happy that they addressed that the way they did. Even though I think he could have gotten a bit of harsher punishment, especially the fact that he was in isolation, not just in quarantine. But I think that's a perfect example of catching it before it gets out of control.
But that's what they say. Imagine if our government, they actually let him slide.
Mhm.
Then a lot more people that were in isolation would have come out. Then it'll be like, Tom escaped, so
I could escape too.
Exactly.
Right. Mhm.
So I actually applaud the government for the fact that you were told to be in isolation, you disregarded that, and now you have to face the penalty.
Yeah, which is why I think that our government is like the standard government right now, to be honest, because the other governments,
props to Minister Harris.
the other governments, I feel that they're being too lax and they're being too fearful, and they're trying their best to manage the economy and manage people's lives. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision, and the decision may not be a good one, or it may not be the best one for financial purposes. But, make the decision, lock down the country. Don't wait until it's 600 cases or 1,200 cases, as I'm learning, in St. Lucia, which is very surprising. Make the decision and lock down the country.
Mm-hmm. Let us take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Inside the News.
Yes, sir, good afternoon. I was just listening to some of your comments, and I find it kind of interesting. Okay, the government has a policy. If you catch somebody, this is the penalty, okay? This is the penalty for that. And we are going to stay out here, not knowing the reasons for that arrived at that penalty. And we get, no, you should have get this, you should have get that. And I think it's very, very unfair. Very sad, if they catch somebody without mask, this is the penalty. But we don't get on the radio and say, no, he shouldn't get that, he should get this. Punish them more than what they are being punished. I think we are one here adopt this attitude. This is very, very unfair. Okay, and we should get away from it. The penalty is the penalty. Whether the government or the court decide to impact that on the person or not, we shouldn't be saying they should have do this and they should have do that, or they should have killed him. And it's wrong. It's wrong, and we have this out there in the public, and our people accept it and go ahead with it, and it gets worse and worse. Another thing is the person you said who got away from quarantine. If they didn't catch him, we all want to know nothing. So say he get away. Somebody else would have tried, and somebody else. I think all these things are very, very wrong. The Because if the person got away, who else would I know? I want to know. You want to know. So we wouldn't have been here talking about it. We have to be very careful with what we disseminate to the public, because everybody here is like, okay, he got away and he's going to tell the whole world that he got away. And he should have been punished. These things are wrong. You need to stick to the fact. If the penalty says, okay, you get 14 days in jail, well, you should say, no, he should get 10 years.
Caller
Tell us.
is simply a suggestion. And I think caller, and I think people are allowed to say how they feel. If you think that person should have gotten 5 or 10 or 2 or whatever, that is how they feel. It is their suggestion. Secondly, the information came from the government that he escaped quarantine. Do you know that?
If he got away now, who else would I know?
Caller, you hear what I said? I said the information came from the government. They told us he left quarantine. That is what I'm telling you.
The government did not put out that information.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. The government did. That is how the media houses find out.
Yeah, and they released afterwards to say the punishment that the court gave him.
Yeah, they did. They said that he escaped quarantine. He went airport and all of they gave us the specifics, and they told us how much he was charged for breaching quarantine. And then there was after that, person said, well, I think he should have been charged less or more. Yeah, it's just how people feel about the situation.
The whole outcome was the fact that the government was making a public example that
of the man, yeah.
You are told to be in quarantine, and you're supposed to stay in quarantine for the safety and the betterment of everybody else. You can't be, as Ms. Henry mentioned, selfish and decide you want to be out because you're putting everybody else at risk with you walking around with this virus.
Right.
But then at the same time, you say people do say what they want to say and feel like what they want to feel. You're going to say what you want to say, but the person cannot. Okay, the person who might not have on a mask for a particular reason, maybe their sinus is acting up and they can't hold on the mask. It could be 20 years, but you're going to say, as long as you find them without a mask, put them in jail, do them this. It's unfair.
Caller, I think at times we need to use our discretion and really understand what, or try to really listen, because from listening to that, it doesn't mean that if you're walking on 4th Street and you're caught with under mask, you should get a ticket. I think it means that if you're in a public place with other people and you don't have a mask, then there should be something. I think the SRO, it actually speaks to people who have respiratory illnesses and all of that. And then there's a certain age as to, is it from 2 or under 6?
Children that are exempt from the mask.
Right. Yeah. I will have to back check that. But there are some people who are allowed some, I don't want to use the word freedom, but when it comes to wearing the mask.
Not just that, but if you have the respiratory problem, I would think that the police are understanding. So if you tell them, well, officer, this is the reason, I would think they would be understanding. So it's not just a automatic ticket, automatic charge.
No, because that's harsh. You just can't walk up to somebody who don't have a mask and give a ticket without understanding why.
Yeah.
And and as we're on we're on this topic, and that is something I wanted to get to. I see people driving in the car by themselves with a mask on. For the life of me, I don't understand it.
The windows up,
I don't understand
I'm sorry, I'm guilty of that.
But again, as the caller mentioned, and as Jelani mentioned, if you're in a public setting with other people, please wear your mask. Please wear your mask. But we are receiving other calls, caller. The phone line is quite busy, so if you have a question, you can pose that question now.
I just kind of wanted to know if you don't think other people have enough common sense to figure out certain things, and what you think about the laws and so on is what everybody else, should really abide by. It's just that.
I don't think you understood what we were trying to say.
I totally understand.
No, you did not. That is not what you did at the first. You did not understand what we were trying to say. But thank you, caller. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your input, but I don't think you understood what we were trying to say. So don't come here and try to insult me about common sense and all of that. Let us have some respect here. We are still taking calls. You can call us. You're listening to Inside the News right here on WINN FM 98.9. The numbers to call are 466-0989, 7620989 and 6620989. Let us take this call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Inside the News.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cornelius.
Good afternoon.
Now, I believe that caller there, he either don't understand the system or he just tell himself that you must do as you like. Now, I don't agree with him at all. No, government pass a law. Now, before go so far, now the disease started out in Wuhan, China, right?
Yes.
That's it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Now you hear people is saying, "Oh, China ain't got China controlling it," because you know why China controlling it? It break out there and China look. We got to control this. The population is big, and if it gets between the people, it has to tell the tale.
Yep.
So they decide, look, every man put on a mask. Every man stay indoors. If you catch you, it's jail. No excuse. And even get shot. They mean what they say. Now, I don't agree with everything that China do. But this one, sure, mean, look, this thing must be controlled in China. And you see controlling? You see, you notice in America and other countries, because we like to do as we like. You see what happening? It's spreading like wildfire. Britain, United States, Brazil, and other countries. Because the fellow going to say, well, oh, you can't tell me what to do. But if the government put down the foot, you see this disease will go right away.
And that's the
put
issue.
on your mask in a public place. Now they tell you, put it on when you're walking across the road. They say, you can put it on, but you can pull it down to breathe fresh air. But when you're going in a supermarket, you're going in a bank, you're going in places where other people live, put it on.
Simple as that.
And
who
if you
can
do
understand that?
Huh?
I said, who can't? That's it's simple as that. Who can understand that? I don't.
Simple as that. But some of us just tell us, well, boy, you can't tell me what to do. And they do as they like. And they come and they want to convince other people that, well, you're chatting nonsense. But there's the one that's talking nonsense. Because simple. It's simple if you look at it. The science and it said, put on your mask.
Yeah.
Wipe down the counter, wipe down this. They tell you what to do. In your hand. Now, I'm going to show you something. I don't know if you're going to agree with me. You notice every year coming on to the end of the year, we get a flu. You notice the flu ain't so terrible between last year and this year?
Yep.
You know why? Because most of us putting on a mask and most of us washing the hand and putting on the solution on the hand. So it's keeping us clean. But a lot out there want to do as they like. And I agree, you catch them, deal with them. No matter what.
And if I may.
Because we see what's going on in China. China say, look, stay down. You notice just the other day, a certain I don't remember the name, an area just outside Wuhan start to break out. They shut it down. Not a man come out.
Right. Thank you.
Not a man come out.
Right. Thank you so much, caller, for your
Do that
input.
throughout, and things will be better.
Yes.
Barbados and all them countries that need to be serious. And you catch a man coming out of quarantine without jail him. No mercy. Because, look, let me tell you something. I see he coming out, he intend to kill. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, caller, for your input.
And if I may, Devon.
Yes. Go ahead.
If I may, we elected these people to actually represent us, to actually govern us. And if we are saying that these people put in rules before us and we can't follow these rules, then what are we saying about ourselves as deciding the choice to actually put these people above us?
Right. I agree. We lost that call. Let us take a short break. Things are getting nice up in here. Let's take a short break. And just 1 minute. I want to take a bathroom break. And I'll be right back.
At The Cable, we know being local means supporting our own, and our customers deserve the best. Our customers deserve platinum. So now, all customers of The Cable qualify for our new platinum loyalty card. An elite MasterCard experience that lets you support your own like never before. Instantly send money to any Platinum loyalty member at home or around the world. Shop online or in person anywhere MasterCard is accepted. Save with no interest and 0 annual fees. And the best part? If you're a cable customer, you are already pre-approved. Just visit the cable building in Bastere or sign up online at www.thecable.net. Get your Platinum loyalty card today because you deserve Platinum. Terms and conditions apply.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
We are back inside the news with Sniper. We have just 5 minutes left, but we could spare you another 1 minute, so we're going to go 6 minutes. Welcome back to Inside the News, and we are continuing our discussion. Do we have any calls? There are no calls. In the meantime, we'll continue this discussion. There is so much to say, and I think we have so much more to say. Let us take the call. Good afternoon, caller. You are live on Inside the News.
Yeah, hello?
Hi, good afternoon. You're live on Inside the News.
Yeah, good afternoon. How you doing, man? I got a question, right? It's totally off track here. I understand that there's a hotel deal that's coming at Indian Castle in Nevis. What I wanted to find out real quickly is those lands, are they going to be sold to that company that's coming in to develop that hotel, or are they going to be leased? Do you have that information at all?
Thank you so much for your question. I do not have the information for that question, but on a follow-up program, I will definitely be able to provide you with information after I do some research. But regarding that question, no, I do not have the specific details of that.
Yeah, because I was listening on the press conference there, the Premier's press conference. I noticed you were there and you were asking some questions. I was listening keenly to see if you had extract that information at all, but I didn't really, I didn't get that day. So that's what I'm calling in now.
Right. Well, I did ask what the deadline is for construction to begin, and any other details about that. I think he said 12 months, but no other information was provided. But I do not want to throw off the program. We only have a few minutes left, and so we want Sniper to finish up.
I'll listen out on a subsequent program. You guys have a good day.
Definitely. Thank you so much for your question, though. We are still taking your calls here on WINN FM 98.9 for Inside the News. Gentlemen, go ahead. Anybody want to take the lead as we wrap up? Just before I do, though, there's a comment on the Facebook. There are comments coming in. Human nature is to do contrary to what is required. So the SROs have to be policed rigorously.
Thank you.
They do.
I agree with your comment.
I do agree with that comment because we need to understand that even if we're not talking about a pandemic, every place we go has a set of rules that we have to follow. And following those set of rules is usually in our best interest. And not just the best interest of one individual, but the best interest of majority. And the government putting these rules in place is actually to protect majority of the people so that we do not contract this virus. And if we let one slide, what is the sign what is the symbol we're showing to the others? So yes, we have to penalize those that slide in.
I agree with you. your comment or your take on that, Mariel or Jalen?
Well, I agree with the comment that the person made. I believe that in our culture, we don't like to be told what to do. We are very lax and do what we want. And when the caller mentioned China, we look at China. China is what's the word?
We tell you what to do.
Yeah, the political system is communist. You tell you what to do, wear your mask. And China is already, even before the COVID-19, China was wearing masks. So it wasn't really hard to implement the mask wearing in China and other Asian countries. So I would just appeal to the general public that I know that this is something that is new to you, but you have to make it something into your routine, because COVID-19 is going to be with us for quite some time. And as the caller would have mentioned, the science has proven it that mask, washing your hands, social distancing,
it limits the spread of the virus.
And it works.
And where is we on that topic? Because I basically want us to adopt the mentality that the mask is practically another part of our uniform. The same way we'll put on our undergarments and whatnot. Right. We need to put on a mask. Devon mentioned earlier that people driving around in car with masks on. I'm usually one of those persons because I know for a fact, I know for a fact, if I do not put my mask on before I come out of the house, there's some point I'm either going to leave it in the car seat, forget it in the car seat, forget it somewhere else. So it's always on my face.
That's true.
And one of the callers mentioned, yes, if you need to take a breather, I teach. So when I need to take a breather, I step away from the students, step away in a space where I know nobody's around me, pull my mask down, take a little breather, and then when you're going back to talking to people, you need to actually put back your mask, because this virus is spread by your droplets.
Yeah.
And by having that mask, you stop the spread.
We're basically at the end time, unfortunately, because I think we have so much more to add to this very, very interesting topic. But let me just use this opportunity to say thank you to all of you who made Inside the News possible. We thoroughly enjoyed the comments and the callers and your different point of views. Thank you guys so much for being a part of Inside the News. We will now use this chance to ask each member to give, some closing remarks. I don't like to say final remarks. We're coming back. Or some closing remarks, and we are going to end out this program for today.
Well, I would just like to thank WINN FM for the opportunity to come here this afternoon, and share the thoughts of the association on the matter at hand. And I share the sentiments of Jill and Jelani. I just want to encourage all the citizens to continue adhering to the protocols, continue to wash your hands frequently, continue to wear your mask, continue to stay home if you're sick, continue to stay away from those who are sick, continue to do everything you can to keep yourself safe and ensure that within the post-COVID economy that you can be a part of it and that you are not in the statistic that's sick or dead, that you are alive, you are strong, you are healthy and ready to continue developing this nation, to continue developing this region as we continue to live on God's green earth.
Great.
Amen, Mariel. I would like to share the same sentiments with Mariel and others. Wear your mask. Mask saves lives. It's not really an inconvenience. I don't see it as an inconvenience. I actually, it has become a part of me now. And if you don't like the standard mask, you can design your mask and put on a nice little St Kitts flag or whatever if you want to be patriotic. But, just follow the protocols. They're out there to help us. They're not to stifle you in any way.
I too would like to thank WINN FM for the opportunity to come here and actually discuss this topic at hand. Thank the callers for calling in. And I really want to implore us to actually follow the protocols, follow the rules that are set so that we can limit this whole virus as quickly as possible so that we can get back to some sense of what we call normalcy. Because these simple things, as simple as it is, it actually helps us a lot to minimize our numbers. Because what if we have never did what we have done? What if the government have never put what they have placed in place? Then our numbers would have probably been triple. So do what you're told, follow the rules, follow the regulations, and be safe out there.
Right. And let me just say thank you to Skanaipa for accepting the invitation to be a guest here on Inside the News for today. It was a very fruitful program, and I have a lot more to say, but the time is done, is run out. But again, thank you guys so much for being a part of the program, and we look forward to having programs such as these, which is an opportunity for you to share your views and your sentiments on different topics that we may have. And again, thank you so much to our sponsors, our listeners. Stay tuned to WINN FM 98.9. Until next time, stay safe, wear your mask, wash your hand, and follow the protocols. Let me just say that again. Let me say it in standard English. Follow the protocols. And dialect, follow the protocols, them. Thank you so much. This was Inside the News here on WINN FM 98.9. I was your host, Yvonne Cornelius, with special guest, Skanaipa. Until next time, stay safe.
Are you wondering